We are tonight's entertainment.
You can't handle the truth.
The fire rises.
Pizza time.
You're a wizard, Harry.
So it begins.
You know how much I sacrifice?
You think that's air you're breathing?
Groovy.
I don't have friends. I got family.
We are Sex People! 1, 2, 3, 4!
Craft Services.
Hello, Sophia.
Hi, Parth.
How funny to see you here again.
Yeah, hilarious.
Yeah. It's interesting that someone, maybe a co-host, couldn't make it.
Wonder what he's doing.
But I'm wondering what he's eating. And while I can't ask him that, I could ask you.
So what I've been eating? Most recently, I had an iced matcha latte from Gloria Jean's, and it was absolutely horrible.
Yes, you did not get it at a punctual time, no?
No, they forgot about it, and then I felt bad because I had to go ask them if they'd forgotten about it, and then they made it, and I had asked for a small, and they gave me a medium, which I felt like was nice, because they forgot about my matcha for so long. But then when I got it, it was like sort of unconsumable, like it was not mixed. Yeah,
I had a sip. It tasted pretty awful. And I, as well, had hot chocolate from Gloria Jean's. My father came in to Rutgers to bring along my cousin who got accepted into Rutgers to Accepted Students Day. She came in from North Carolina, and we decided to meet up afterwards. And I guess that's what we've been consuming. And I did this lead-in last week, but the audience isn't here to consume Gloria Jean's, are they?
No, they're not.
They're here to consume part 2 of this episode. So without further ado, let's cue the intro.
Welcome back to Craft Services, where we talk about the movies. Each week we talk about a film and hopefully have a crew member that worked on the film to talk with us about their experience working on the picture.
This week, we are continuing our conversation with cinematographer Maria Rusche, DP of Shiva Baby. And last week, the episode was quite a hit. I did not realize that it would be. The director, Emma Seligman, liked the post that we made, and a bunch of producers followed us. So thank you guys for that, if you are listening, which I don't know that you are, but, you know, it's nice to check in anyways. But yeah, thanks so much to Maria Rusche. This was an awesome interview. She gets into a lot of specific scenes, like a lot of lens choices, things that, you know, your average Shiva Baby guy would like to know. So should we just get into it?
Oh, please.
Yeah, Sophia's really excited, guys. So I'm just going to cue the interview.
Like what rigs you're using, or like how the camera's moving, or if you think that's more motivated by like the story elements, and that if it's small, like it's gonna feel small, or you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think we were being realistic about the scope, I suppose, of what we could accomplish, but I think actually largely the visual style was sort of independent of the budget. And I think the place where the budget really impacted us was shooting days. Just the schedule being so tight.
And like all in the daytime, I think, or at least mostly. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it was
Losing that light.
We shot in the dead heat of August. So we had a lot of sweating people
in black funeral wear.
And like a lot of extras. So a lot of people in the house.
And older people.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And so I think those were some of the places where the budget impacted us. Like it's hard to get extras. It's so hard, and so, um, Gerardo, our
And were they the same extras throughout the
I
shoot,
was just gonna
or
ask.
barely. I think that we had maybe a handful of people who came back a few times, but largely, no, they were not the same people, and
wow, I did not know
yeah,
this for what it's worth.
amazing, that's great. But yeah, Gerardo, our first AD, and I, were spent so much of our time placing background. I really felt, like a shoulder expert by the end of the shoot because it's so much about kind of a perfectly placed like foreground shoulder, or a perfectly timed cross that makes it feel full while still having like room to shoot. Um, yeah, and the other ways it like impacted our budget or the budget impacted us, I should say, are you know, I think we had like one Steadicam day. So the that was the shot where she first is walking up to the house. Um, that was Steadicam, but then when she walks over to the van to see her parents, I knew we wouldn't be able to get the whole scene like that. So we put in a whip pan and we hit a cut to handheld there. So then I took over and the rest of that scene handheld and we shot that another day.
You spoke a little bit about the locations, and from what I understand, you used like Airbnb for this house. And I was wondering, like, uh, is that difficult? Like dealing with, I don't know, like, how if Airbnb is like a more stressful thing. And then also you spoke about how it's continuous, and is that, the whole movie is for the most part in real time. And like, is that a big challenge for you? Or is that kind of just like, it's what it is?
Yeah. Yeah, so the Airbnb of it all, I have to commend our producers, Katie Schiller, Kieran Altman, and Lizzie Shapiro, really dealt with that side of it, and were really, uh, I think, exceptional at finding something that worked for us, making sure that we had what we needed, which was for us like a ton of prep time in the house, as much prep time in the house as we could get. So Emma and I would often, once we finally had the house booked, we would go there and do a lot of our prep from there because we could really see how a body in that space would interact with it. You know, it in your if you're looking at photos, you're like, oh sure, you could like lean up against this wall, but then you're standing there and you're like, looks so stupid. Nobody would ever do that. So that was really huge, and they got us in early for that. I luckily didn't have to hear much about whether the Airbnb aspect was difficult, but I think the family was happy with how it turned out. Um, and the other it was about what, what,
Continuity.
continuity. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was.
yeah. I mean, totally. I think shooting a movie that's essentially continuous was. We talked a lot about how to, like I said, make still, I guess, get you to emotionally go on a journey. And that was, I just, yeah, it obviously can get very repetitive. And we weren't just trying to make it feel different for different sake. It was like your, it's so much about the pacing and how to engage the viewer, um, and kind of focus them at specific moments on like what you want them to be focused on, and be able to get them to get the anxiety to rise and then kind of diffuse it and get the anxiety to rise again and diffuse it, and kind of we were thinking a lot about that pacing. And so one thing I came up with was building in a lighting change to the space to kind of help transition us into the next phase of the anxiety of Danielle's experience. And so that change happens basically after she and Maya share like the kiss outside. It's Molly Gordon's character. Danielle comes back inside and we start to see people closing the curtains in the house. And so there's a few scenes in a row where people start closing curtains um, and start turning on lamps and or like placing or lighting candles. And we used that to kind of motivate a slow like warming of the environment, which we felt added this like level of anxiety that would support I guess Danielle's like anxiety. Um, so so yeah, that was something I make usually a separate like lighting deck sort of that has reference looks for each uh, scene or each different lighting look. Um, so I had bunch of references for the daylight version, and then kind of based on a slow scene progression, kind of the different levels of warming. We had like level 1, 2, and 3 or something like that, and obviously since we shoot out of order, that was I was able to hand that off to my gaffer, and um, they would know based on what scene we were shooting, kind of what level we were going for, and that we were able to have like a consistent build in the one. But yeah, I think that I hope that that helped. That was one of the things that kind of helps break up the continuous feeling and still helps you feel like you're going on a visual journey, even though you're in one location.
Yeah, I'm sure as a DP having to shoot one location, which is just like rooms in the daytime, like for the whole movie is a very scary premise in terms of, making it all interesting. But I think you did a very nice job. Um, were you involved in the grade of like the color of the finished film? And if so, did you have a particular approach in mind?
Yeah, totally. So I'm always involved in color when I'm shooting, and that has become that has become such a huge part of building the look um, these days. It's that's just kind of now such a fundamental part of how um, it's just become a fundamental part of the look. And so it's just crucial for me to be there. And typically, like on a bigger film, I'm able to shoot some tests, look at them with my colorist, develop a LUT, and then use that um, for shooting. Um, and
So you're like seeing that on the monitor, like through the LUT that you picked.
exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Um, so for this project, we were monitoring with LUT that kind of emulated a 35 millimeter film stock. So that meant for me like uh, a little bit softer blacks and like a little bit like kind of softer fall off on the highlights, and that was a good base for us. But then when we got into color, um, we worked with our colorist Matthew Greenberg, who really understood the look we were going for. I usually take a few stills and I take references usually to show our colorist, and I think some of the things I brought were like a serious man um, to show him, and we something I really liked about Emma's approach to color was she had this really specific idea in mind for how warm the skin tones would be, because she had this, what she called, kind of this like Jewish glow idea in her mind based on um, how she felt Jewish characters had been lit historically, and it was kind of this warm, more reddish undertone to their skin, and we looked at a lot of references for that together, and so that was something we were trying to reference through the color of the skin tone, so that people who did have like an affinity for those movies and had grown up watching those movies like would kind of associate or feel some kind of kinship with the Jewish canon. Um, so so that was something we spent a lot of time on with Matthew.
I was wondering if you were able to speak at all about your upcoming film Bottoms, which I believe is the same director, and also Rachel Senoy is in as well, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, Bottoms. I got back from South by last night. We just had our premiere.
Oh, great. Great. How'd it go?
It was crazy. It was so crazy. It was really cathartic. Shiva Baby was supposed to come out at South by in 2020. A little thing called COVID-19 happened. And we never got to go in person and never really got to see that movie with an audience. It, had this kind of amazing word of mouth growth, I suppose, and eventually was in theaters. But yeah, we never got to really experience seeing that film with an audience. And we premiered Bottoms to at the Paramount to 1,300 people, and they were like rabid for it. It was really one of the most like unbelievable experiences. Like we put a lot of our heart into this movie, and really we're trying to make something for that we wish we had when we were teens, and you could feel that people were excited about that and feeling seen. Like there were a bunch of literal high school kids in the audience, and they said they felt very seen by it. So
Is there, do you know if there's plans for like a wide release at all?
yes, the plan is for a theatrical release in the summer.
Okay.
Yes. Cool. And yeah, I guess I should mention that the plot is
Oh, right.
that
thing.
The plot, right? The movie is about two unpopular high school girls who start a fight club to try to hook up with cheerleaders, and it's a total bonkers, like wild ride is how I describe it. It's really different from Shiva Baby, which I think is I love and I think is really brave and exciting, and the style is also something I really love. Like it's very Edgar Wright referential. We've got fights, we've got explosions, and it's a blast. Yeah.
Awesome. Trent, do you think it's time for the Big Kahuna?
I do think it's time.
So our Big Kahuna final question is just what's the last great movie you watched? And when we say great, that can include like Anchorman. It just has to be great to you.
Mm-hmm.
So like whatever the last great movie you
and it
watched
doesn't
was.
need to be a new release.
Yeah, it can be a rewatcher. Yeah.
Oh wow. I just watched Point Break for the first time.
Wow. Our mutual friend Jackson Clark is a big Point Break fan.
Incredible. It's a wild ride. I'm a big Keanu fan, I have to say.
John Wick 4 coming out next week.
Oh, hey. The Matrix is my favorite movie. So I'm
not bad.
I'm always sort of wondering what he's up to. And so I will say, I'll say I watched Point Break recently, and I also watched John Wick for the first time. What a blast!
For the first time.
Yeah,
Wow.
I'm going through the camp.
Wow.
I'm going through the.
John Wick Chapter 2. Not that is a good
Like that
movie.
one. I actually, I will say I saw at South by a special advanced screening of John Wick 4.
Oh my God. Wow. I worked as an intern at Thunder Road, which like produces John Wick. And the person that was like the head of the intern department had seen a special, or not a special, it was like a test screening version. And I was like, can you say anything? He was like, they made me sign an NDA. I mean, he would not answer any
Well,
questions.
I didn't.
But
I'll tell you that much. But all I'll say is there's like a bunch of new characters that are so fun. I had a really good time. I think the first one might still be my favorite because I think it's perfectly like self-aware in how kind of silly it is in a way. But yeah, it's a total blast.
Before we let you go, did you see any other cool movies at South by Southwest that you could tell us about?
I did. I saw this movie, Molly and Max in the Future, which is a rom-com in space. It's like When Harry Met Sally in space, basically. And
that's promising.
So
we just covered that in the show.
Funny. Yeah. It's so funny. I think I love a rom-com, and I think it's a really charming update. I think it's a fresh take on rom-coms that we deserve.
Great. Parth, you want to bring us out?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Maria Rusche, cinematographer of Shiva Baby, as well as the upcoming Bottoms
this summer.
thing. Yeah, look out for it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What an interview.
Yeah, really incredible stuff.
You said the exact same thing last week.
What can I say? I like to be consistent.
Yeah, consistent. That's what we like to be. We like to release episodes every week. And this week we were able to, thanks to Maria Rusche. Thanks again to Maria Rusche for talking with us. She was super awesome, super nice. She talked with us about John Wick 4, which she had seen prior to Trent or I having seen John Wick 4. And she was like, you guys are going to like it. And Trent hasn't seen it, but I have. And let me just say, I did. But yeah, I had a good time with this interview. And next week, we have some interesting stuff coming up. Well, next week, we're going to have our discussion of Shiva Baby. Hopefully, Trent can make it for that one. He does, after all, co-host this podcast. This is not at all passive-aggressive, Trent, I promise. But Trent, truthfully, Trent had to drive his parents to the airport, so he just couldn't make it. But hi, Trent. Hi, Jordan. I hope you're listening. But next week, join for our discussion of Shiva Baby, Emma Seligman's film. Spoiler alert, I like it quite a bit, so, it'll be a good conversation. And the week after that, we've got some incredible stuff coming. Some really super, super stuff. If you can figure out what we're releasing, let us know in the comments with a guess. Otherwise, you can go check us out where?
Anywhere that you can get podcasts.
This is true, folks. Go check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, Amazon Music, anywhere you get your podcasts. We are there. We are also on Instagram and Twitter. We like to run those as much as we can. So go follow us there and comment there because we'd love to hear from the fans. Otherwise, join us next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.